I like throwing a curveball at the beginning. If someone has actually never seen any work you've done before, what is the first thing you want them watching and why?
I would probably have to go with Spider-Man. There's a big body of work there. There's 6 films that you can go and watch that I think are really fun and exciting. I mean, that's probably what I would go for, Spider-Man. Yeah.
I would probably say one of the true stories, maybe Lone Survivor or Perfect Storm, Joe Bell, The Fighter, something along those lines.
Lone Survivor is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie so much.
Thank you, buddy.
And I actually use the soundtrack from that movie if I need to get emotional in a scene.
Really?
Yeah, it's called like the Mighty Rio Grande or something, and it plays throughout the beginning and the end. I use that if I need to cry. I love that scene. I love that film, mate. It's brilliant.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
I thank you for sharing that, Tom. That's actually really cool. Mark, you were attached to the David O. Russell version of Uncharted back in 2010. What do you think it is about this material that's taken so long to get to the screen?
It's one of those, well, obviously getting it right. The tone, introduction to that world, it's 40 million games sold. It's obviously beloved by its fans. And so you've got to get it right. And I think, it's so cinematic anyway that it's a must make for a film. It's just a matter of getting it right. You really got to nail it. And I think the smartest thing to do would kind of start out where we did and watching Tom as Nate come into his own. And then I think from there, the opportunities are endless.
Tom, when you work with Mark, does it mean you get a Wahlburgers gift card for life?
No.
I was going to say yes. Hang on a minute. I admittedly have never had a Wahlburgers, but I will do. And I said I will do. I just haven't had the time, but I'm gonna have one.
We're gonna hold you to that. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
The chicken sandwiches there are pretty good. Just throwing that out there. Yeah.
Where did that come from, mate?
What? Wahlburgers?
Wahlburgers. What inspired you to set up a burger company?
Oh, I had no interest in doing it. My brother is a really, really good chef, and he's had massive success. He's been head chefs at many different restaurants, and then he went on to open a restaurant named after my mom, and then he wanted to do a burger chain, and me being the entrepreneur that I am, I said, okay, we're going to do it, but we're going to open a lot of them. So we now have 100 stores, and we're going hopefully in the next 2 years to 400 stores.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark doesn't mess around. Tom, I have to ask you, there is a crazy action set piece in this movie, which is the cargo plane sequence. And you've obviously worked on many action scenes before. How did that sequence compare to some of the Marvel stuff you've done playing Spider-Man? Was it just a completely different beast? Can you sort of talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, it was very different to creating a Spider-Man action sequence. Spider-Man being a superhero, being able to do things that humans can't do. We have a creative license to kind of lean on, the resource of CGI. Whereas with Uncharted, playing Nathan Drake, everything is, we're doing everything we can to ground it in reality. So it meant that most of what we had to do had to be done practically. Now, I'm not saying we actually hung out the back of an airplane. There are elements of movie making involved.
Tom Cruise would have. Cruise would have.
That's true. But listen,
it's a tough name to carry.
It's a tough name to carry, mate. But yeah, so we worked hard and we put blood, sweat, and tears into that sequence. It was tough. I wasn't crying. Mark was, because he wanted to be involved.
Yeah, no, I was happy to be in the helicopter bar. The greatest thing ever was when I was like, and we had discussions, and thankfully Tom supported me in this. That I was like, Sully was just such a guy that, if you weren't doing the right thing, it was always about self-preservation. So I told him once, put the parachute on. He said no. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pull mine and go. And everybody was like, oh, it seems a little bit cold, but you didn't want to give away the fact that Sully was going to, really sacrifice everything to support Nate. And Tom was really understanding of that. So I wanted to get off that plane as quickly as I could before all the heavy lifting started.
My last thing for you guys, this game has a ton of fans. A ton of people have played this game. What are you most excited for fans of the game to actually see in the movie?
I think for me, I'm excited for them to see a storyline that they had to before imagine. You know, we're telling the origin story of these characters that people know and love around the world. You know, Mark said sold 40 million copies, so we have a huge audience to try and impress. And I'm delighted to say that I really think that we've pulled off what everyone is hoping we have. But this origin story, I think, is going to be really appealing to all the fans of the games.
Yeah, obviously not everybody who's a big fan of the game has seen it, but certainly some of the kind of most vocal have seen it, and getting their stamp of approval was amazing. And then also, because the game is so cinematic, it really allows for everybody to enjoy this movie. You don't have to have ever played the game to go and enjoy. It's like Indiana Jones or, you know, Romancing the Stone. This is a big, fun movie, and you haven't seen one in quite a while, so we're excited.
Thank you both so much for talking with me. I hope it's a huge hit. Wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you, buddy. Good to see you as always.
Thank you, mate.